This is Mastering Your Wealth with David Gagnon, the podcast.
Something else that is kind of kicking off here is the conversation of tariffs. I know a lot of folks have opinions on that, but the bottom line is we all need to understand how it's going to impact us as Americans, as consumers. And at the end of the day, as Trump said just over this last week, he said, with the tariffs, is it going to hurt a little bit? Probably, but maybe not. But we don't really know. Well, when you're close to retirement or in retirement, David, you can't afford to hurt. I mean, in this tariff situation, believe it or not, it really could come down to the consumer and hurt us big time.
You've seen a lot of market volatility in the last few weeks. And the thing is, information travels at a nanosecond, and I'm looking at market analyst information that I subscribe to, and I'm kind of reading between the lines of what they're saying and what they're anticipating. And a lot have this feel in the sense that we might see a big market correction at some point. Who knows? But, here's the thing. You can't really time the market and what's going to happen to your money. But what you can do is be proactive, find ways to put airbags and safety measures on your portfolio, and do some hedging and buffer strategies. These are things that we do because you just can never pivot in time to protect your money when these changes occur. And quite frankly, if you're not really doing this stuff based on analytics, but it's an emotional decision, you're probably going to make a very costly mistake. So I just think you can never control what the market's going to do, but you can control how your money's protected and not sacrifice the opportunities if the market goes the other way and actually has a favorable outcome. But, we're going to see a lot of uncertainty, a lot of people speculating, and a lot of people that are going to be nervous about what's happening along the way, because when you look at the market, we're at a really high point and there's a big bubble there, and there's a lot more to be lost than possibly to be gained if you kind of stay the course, and it's not really the best path forward, especially if you're so close to retirement or in retirement and you experience a big drop in the market. That could change your retirement decisions, your financial resources, throughout your retirement. So, proactive is a much better place to be financially than reactive, because when you react to make financial decisions, it's because your pain threshold financially has been reached, and it's because there was a bad outcome that you've experienced. So don't allow yourself to be in that position. So we help people to become proactive, and we show them how to put the strategies together and the right tools in place so that they're not vulnerable like most people who really aren't doing any planning or proactive type of planning for their own personal needs.
But I want to stay on this conversation here, just talking about the implementation of tariffs coming in, what that could mean for us as a country, you as a consumer, also the market volatility that we are going to see, have seen, all the things here. Because here's the deal. A lot of folks forgot what 2008 felt like. And a lot of folks were counting on, the market being sunshine and rainbows under President Trump. Now, with all these different decisions he's making, it looks like things could be making a turn here. So if we are headed into market volatility and you start to kind of look at your accounts, those 401ks and whatnot, and start seeing things plummet, you have to ask yourself, what does that plan be, right? And at the end of the day, I'll tell you what, I'll just be blunt with you. If you do not have a plan in place to protect your money, as we are talking about right now, then really the fault is your own. We are trying to tell you got to put a protection in place, these airbags in place, so that no matter what, when, how, and however it turns out, you are prepared, because it's really easy to just kind of wait things out, and then by the time you wait it out, it's too late. So, David, for those that are concerned about the market volatility, they've checked their 401k, they've been watching the headlines, it's been making them sick. I always say if what you're hearing on the news is really upsetting you, then you have too much risk going on, and you need a better plan in place. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you really want to understand how you're invested and what kind of risk you are exposing your money to, and if in fact it's really creating the benefits that you need personally going forward. And it's one thing that I see and hear a lot with people who reach out to us, especially when the markets are doing really bad things to their money, I'll ask them, well, what's happened? And a lot of people say, I haven't been opening my statements. I don't want to see it. You don't want to put your head in the sand and not look at something if you know the outcome's not looking so great. So I think what we have to do is get people to get a handle on their money, put a plan in place, because anybody that I've seen over all the years that I've been doing this, they don't have a plan, a strategic plan that's looking at all the moving parts And what they say to me, well, their plan is, well, I have my 401k, I have my IRA, I have my brokerage account. I said, those are tools. And those might not be the right tools for you in a number of ways. Your investments might not be aligned with your planning needs and objectives. You might be vulnerable to all kinds of risks, not just market risk, inflation risk, interest rate risk, longevity risk, tax risk, healthcare risk. So there's a lot of things that could attack your money if you're not paying attention to it and putting together the right plan and strategies to protect you. The market, it's always a moving ball. And either you're a passive investor, which a lot of people are, and what they've done is they've invested in a cookie-cutter model portfolio of usually stock funds and bond funds, and they're hoping for the best. And you don't want to ride on a plane of hope that you think is going to work out when you get through into and through retirement, because it doesn't take much of a setback in the market to kind of derail that retirement and make things go in the wrong direction financially. So proactive planning is the key. And the thing is, there are a lot of things out there that are in the blind spot of many people. They don't know they're making some costly mistakes until we evaluate their high-level financial review. And then what we can discuss is what problems lie ahead, because we look into the future with what people are doing today with their money. And we see a lot of information. We can do an X-ray of what the future looks like. We can do a financial diagnosis of what's working, what isn't. And then we can prescribe a better financial remedy and a real plan that can help them take better control over the outcome going forward, and not have to play the guesswork game, right?
Yeah, take the guessing out of it.
Yeah. Because the world of finance is so complicated. And if you're not entrenched in what we do every day, you might make a great decision and pick some great investments. But if you're not looking for ways to optimize the decisions you need to make on how to capitalize on the most Social Security in your retirement, then most people do make a very costly mistake in that area. So if you really want to protect yourself from what might impact you financially going forward with all these changes that could come down the road, let's be proactive today.
We are just about, a week away or so from Valentine's Day, David. Are you prepared? Are you that guy that's there literally in the grocery store getting roses in a card on Valentine's Day? What's your strategy here?
Geez, I'm a last minute kind of guy.
You and every man. I mean, you go to any grocery store on Valentine's Day, you'll see about 20 guys doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'll usually get flowers for my wife. She loves flowers, and a card. And we'll go out to dinner. But, the one little person in our family, my little granddaughter, she's 3.5, she's been making a big deal for Valentine's Day. After Christmas ended, then she turned on to the Valentine's Day as the next a holiday to prepare for, and she is so cute. Oh, she's made so many Valentine's Day cards. She made one for me as grandpa, one for all her grandparents, and she is so focused when she's doing these little projects. It's just so cute to watch her color things and write things, and she's very creative. So, and then I reminded her that my birthday is after Valentine's Day in the early part of March, and I asked her, I said, do you know what the next holiday is to start doing all these projects for? And I had to remind her it was my birthday. So now she's talking about my birthday already.
Listen, you're giving her to-do list, right? Yeah. She's running her own Hallmark store out of there, I guess.
That age is so cute. I told her, I don't want you to grow up. And she goes, Papa, I have to get bigger. I said, no, you don't need to get bigger. You're very cute right now.
Yeah, stay where you are. I tell my son the same thing. I say, who told you can get so big?
Yeah.
And he says, I don't know, but I'm big.
Yeah, that's a great age.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I love that she's, in the spirit of Valentine's Day and all that. She's got the easy part now, right? You make a card for your friends at school, and you go on from there. It's when you get older, when you get married and things like that things start getting a little expensive. For example, this, of course, inflation is pushing up this year's cost of Valentine's Day dates. There's a new report by the National Retail Federation that says that the average will run $185 per person. And I have a little tip for you. If you want to save this year, you can always just go to DiGiorno's heart-shaped artichoke pizza for $2, and it's $2.14. So There you go, giving you a cheap out there, guys, if you want to bring home some pizza and some roses. And it got me thinking about retirement, right? We'd much rather spoil our loved ones on special occasions rather than just settle for some cheap alternative. So how do you help a retiree's lifestyle stay the same despite things like inflation?
Well, you have to plan for what could change in the future in your finances, and it comes to planning. We really put a big emphasis on reviewing what you're doing with all your money today and how that's going to look into the future. And the biggest obstacle I think people struggle with is coming up with what they really need to live on, not only today, but in retirement, but also have a cushion in there for retirement activities. If you're going to travel or do things that are going to be costing you money, which almost everything does, you have to really give some good thought as to what you need to plan for as far as your spending goals into the future. And here's the challenge. You have to take into account a lot of variables that could change that number dramatically, especially with inflation, right? And you have to look at other factors that you have to always pay for. If you haven't done any really good tax planning, you're going to have a tax bill that's going to eat away at your money. But you have to kind of look into the future with whether your needs are going to be satisfied in the future throughout a long time in retirement. Think about this. It's a big challenge for people to stretch out their resources and their money when they have to figure out how to really live on their desired lifestyle spending for what could be 15, 20, up to 35 years in retirement, because I have a lot of clients in their early 90s now, and a lot of them retired in their early 60s. And if you're trying to navigate through this with no planning and no structure to what you're doing with your money or evaluation, there's a pretty high probability you could see that retirement derail, and then you're in a position in your retirement where you can't fix it. Now you got to make some drastic changes to your spending or your lifestyle, which is very unpleasant. And I've seen this over the years, and it's not something that you really want to really participate in. And these are the folks that really didn't do any planning. It was a plan of hope. So, reviewing your budget and then stress test that analysis, looking into the future with what's doable with what you're doing. And a lot of times we'll use inflation factors that are higher than 3%, and we want to see how high can it go before we have a real problem, right? And manage your investment plan so that it's aligned with keeping pace with this type of change, but mitigating risk along the way and being tax efficient. We want to make sure you're invested appropriately to create the income that you're going to need and lower your risk, increase your yields, and be tax efficient, and make sure the money's going to last as long as you do. So you have to diversify your income sources when you get to that point, but your strategic personalized income plan strategy is probably the most component to the overall plan, because there's a lot of things going on there that we want to make sure that we plan for and you're in the right places to make it work. A lot of people take unnecessary risk, especially when they're in retirement, and they just don't know alternative options to mitigate that risk and get better performance and better cash flow. A lot of people are in your traditional stock funds and your bond funds, and you can't really create a lot of value from those if you're going to kind of stay in that type of investment mode, which a lot of people are in. We do things a lot differently because there's so many resources in the investment community to do things differently to get better results.
For those interested to come in and have this conversation with you about inflation proofing their retirement or, having protections around market volatility, et cetera, how can they sit down with you?
Well, first, they should just give us a call so we can have a conversation about what they're concerned about and what their plans are moving forward with their career, their retirement, what hurdles they think they have to overcome financially. And then what we'll do is if they want us to do the complimentary forecast analysis, our paraplanner, Frank, will send them an email on how to create a login into our planning portal, which is safe to provide your information, upload your most recent statements. And it's not just your accounts and investments we want to look at. I always look at your tax return. I look at your debts, look at the type of cash flow that's coming in. And then when you have a budget that you're spending your money on, we want to look where the outflows are going, because there might be some things we could tweak there to recapture some unnecessary expenses and put money in your own pocket. So there's a lot of moving parts. It's a big puzzle. We do all the heavy lifting. A lot of folks only need to spend an hour or less to give us the information we need, and then we take the guesswork out of what they're doing with their money today and give them the clarity they need to make better choices going forward and create better opportunities. So it's a process of a few meetings typically. We'll either meet via Zoom and go over your report and an analysis, or you can come into the office. And when you start taking better control over what you understand about what you're doing, and then you are educated from us about what's possible to do differently to get better results, then your choices are easy, your decisions are easy, because we validate the opportunities that you can create by making better financial choices.
For more details or to sit down with David for your complimentary financial GPS, visit masteringyourwealthradio.com.
Any comments regarding safe and secure products and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered by Brookstone.